Good morning. Welcome to the Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lillian. I'm filming to you from my studio today because Steve is upstairs having a nap. I usually film in the morning, but I did something kind of fun. I went to HomeSense with my daughter-in-law, and we kind of celebrated. We had a Cheryl moment. We decided to just celebrate. It's been a year since my friend died, and for fun, we went to HomeSense and just decided to take a shopping cart and fill it with anything that filled our heart with joy. And then before we got to the cash, then we edited. But, it was like, I'm going to try and include a picture. I took it on my phone. I'm not sure if I know how to do that, but we took a couple of pictures of stuff that we didn't really want, that we just thought if our lives were different, we would have purchased them. And one was a 3-foot high golden tree trunk, on top of which was a gorilla, and in both hands he was holding the piece where the toilet paper roll would go, and the whole thing was gold. It's Easter time coming up, so there was a whole bunch of kind of sweet things and bunny type things, and so we had a good time. We filled up the cart, then we got to just before the cash, and then we took out the things that were really not truly what we wanted, but it was totally about an hour of just having a lot of fun and just doing the kind of things Cheryl and I would have used to do. So it was a nice little celebration. And then, bizarrely, the lady who cashed us out at checkout number 5's name was Cheryl. And so I told her what we were doing, and she said, well, then when I go home, I'll raise a glass to Cheryl. So it was sweet. Books. I finished reading The Secret of Lillian Velvet by Jaclyn Moriarty, and this is a middle grade, and it is, I would say, it's adjacent to the books of, oh my goodness, Bronte Metalstone. What was it called? The Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Metalstone and The Stolen Prince of Cloudburst. I read those. I'm gonna say more than 5 years ago, but I really enjoyed them. And this is about Lillian, who has a pickle jar full of gold coins. And she is shoved between one world and the world where the Metalstone family is, and she keeps bumping into different Metalstones, and also at different points in history. So it's not chronologically in order, and it's not in age order. She's not meeting the youngest or the oldest first. It's pretty sort of scattered whom she meets and when she meets them, where she meets them. And at the time of meeting them, she seems to be letting, she makes some wishes. And sometimes the wishes come true and sometimes they don't, or she's not sure if they do or they don't. And other times she's helping something or someone become untrapped or rescued from danger. So there's always this kind of rescue agenda that she has. And one of the tricks is when you travel between worlds is you're not really supposed to disrupt it, because if you disrupt something, then you don't know whether you've messed with history or not. So you're supposed to be there as a neutral visitor. And every time she goes, she's disrupting something or other. And because what's happened is the jar of gold coins is part of her legacy, and part of this legacy is to travel and to make the appropriate kind of wishes, and there is supposed to be a guide. Turns out that the guide has ulterior motives, and so things are not going as smoothly or as logically as they should. And Lillian, who has been raised by someone who is extremely formal and extremely pedantic, and step this way, step that way, step that way. It's like, da 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 da. Her whole life has been like that. So she has an overly formal way of speaking, and she has an overly formal way of formulating logic, and can't quite grasp nuances too much. She has almost zero experience with friends, or she has some idea. She's been reading books, so she has an idea about what friendship is supposed to look like, but having not even experienced acquaintances, she gets it pretty wrong. And so that's some of her problem solving that she has to do. So she travels, I don't know how many times she does actually travel back and forth, but each time she returns to her own home, she talks to her grandmother, who is completely useless, like deliberately unavailable to help Lillian out with the questions that she has. And it's not even that Lillian is trying to say, look, this really bizarre thing is happening to me. It's just like this grandmother is entirely disengaged from any kind of true parenting for Lillian. So you've got this sterile world, and we've got this adventuresome world, and Lillian doesn't really know where she belongs. She's got to figure that out as well. And eventually it becomes, well, I can't give it away. Why would I give you the whole story away? You've got to read it yourself. But she does become more and more aware of the Metalstone family, and they start to put pieces together and go, I know her. Oh, I bumped into her. I remember her. So things happen on their storyline as well. So there's sort of three storylines going. The only problem I had with this book was initially in the first 100 pages or so, she jumps to this world. And initially, I couldn't quite figure out why she was jumping, and what was the logic, and what was the quest, and so she didn't know what the quest was, and there was a lot of randomness to the first 100 pages. I could see that there was a pattern building, but it was just it took some while for all the pieces of the puzzle to fall into place. I love Lillian. She's a funny little character, and the Metalstones that she's meeting, if you've read the other books by Jaclyn Moriarty, you will recognize a lot of them, and you will be glad to see some of them. They each in their own books have quite interesting little personalities as well. The adults are, you want to strangle them. They're just... you get a group of adult Metalstones in a room, and nobody can communicate. They've all got their own thing going on in their head, and they can't stop until it's expressed. Yeah, I found the adults occasionally shut up. So I really recommend this. Totally enjoyed it, and it ended in such a way that there's a possibility that there's more to come. Now, one of the things I didn't do, because I was quickly embroiled in my next book, was 2023. So it's possible that there's another book. I guess that will be one of my pieces of homework, to find out whether there's another one. But, yeah. Okay. So, I guess also, what was the other thing I was going to say? Was there illustrations? No. Oh, every so often there's sort of an interlude that's a report, and that's coming from the Metalstone side of things, and they are what shall I say? It's more. It's the details that are kind of missing between the adventures of Lillian. So we do it doesn't require us to entirely put it together. We do get some relief from all the questioning. Okay, this is a story or a series rather by Kevin Crossley-Holland. It's Arthur the Seeing Stone, a spellbinding first volume in a trilogy that will cover the whole cycle of Arthurian legends interwoven with a story set in medieval times. So we have two Arthurs. We've got Arthur in medieval times and Arthur in the Arthurian stories. And this is the second book, the Crossing Places. And I'm so ready to get into book 3, but I thought I better stop. do some of the other reading that I have to do in time for book clubs. So Arthur in medieval times has a seeing stone that was given to him by Merlin. What we don't know in this book, we do know that the seeing stone is taking Arthur, medieval Arthur, back to old-time Arthur. We don't really know why, and we don't really know why Merlin is in the story to begin with. And it's kind of unclear as to what is the actual relationship between Arthur and Arthur. Is it old Arthur has, reincarnated to medieval Arthur? We just don't know any of that kind of stuff. What I liked about this book in terms of its structure is, well, there are little illustrations every so often, and each chapter is at most 4 pages long. Of course, it's nice that the printing is not so small. I read these quite quickly. I would say each book was maybe 6 hours. Each book was maybe 6 hours, something like that. And it was great for reading at meals. It was great for reading just before bed. The way the structure of the book is lined up, you don't lose the flow of the story, even though there are so many chapters. It's just done in such a way that you're in old time, new time, old time, new time, new time, new time, new time, old time. So it's got sort of there's probably a rhythm to it that I didn't notice, but it does have a rhythm that is, what shall I say? It's not abrupt. It lets you pause without feeling like you are going to lose the energy of the story at all. And that style of writing continues into the second book. So the first book takes us through medieval Arthur's childhood. He's about, let me try to think now. He's just turning from 11 to 12, and we continue the story before he turns 13. And Arthur in medieval times wants to be a page, and therefore a squire, and therefore a knight. And there are some mysteries around medieval Arthur's birth, and so there are many aspects of medieval Arthur's life that parallel King Arthur. That's what I'll call him, King Arthur. So, medieval Arthur is starting to notice some of these things, but he just is still very young and motivated as a young 11-year-old would be. He's just not a lot of life experience. So he's got this sweet, innocent, enthusiasm. Let's go with that. He's got this wonderful enthusiasm for the life around him. And he's into helping with the pigs. He's not supposed to be. He gets in trouble whenever he helps the farmhands because he's supposed to be the son of a knight. And those people don't do that kind of work. So he gets in trouble for having friends who are the villagers. And he's kind of has a crush on someone from another manor house just up the way, and she's got a brother, and the three of them get together and do things that are a little more privileged, and they get to eat a lot more. And so there's a interesting dichotomy between the three kids and the village around them. And medieval Arthur travels all these different worlds, and so it reminded me a little bit of the Disney version of Arthur, The Sword and the Stone, where this medieval Arthur does not become a fish or a bird or what have you, but he does see the core issues of each world, each environment, each individual's kind of dilemma about hunger, thirst, clothing, being cold. And so he develops a very compassionate, empathetic little heart there. And but his dream is to be a page, and he's just not getting very far. I mean, then he realizes, well, yeah, he does have some page duties, but if maybe he didn't stop sneaking off to go and have fun, he'd be a better page. So eventually he kind of settles down a little bit. and we get the crossing places, where he becomes the squire of Sir Stephen, who is in a altogether different manor house. And Sir Stephen is a little bit higher up the chain of command, and he accepts Arthur. He knows, I don't want to give away some of the cool stuff that happens in the Seeing Stone, but Sir Stephen has got a knowledge as to some of the stuff in the earlier book. And he decides to take Arthur on as his squire. And one of the things that happens fairly quickly in the book is that the Fourth Crusade by King John, the brother of Richard the Lionheart, is that there is a call for another crusade. Actually, I'm sorry, King John doesn't call that crusade. It happens at the time that there's a King John. And the Pope of the time has decided that there needs to be yet another invasion on Jerusalem. Poor Jerusalem. And so all these knights in England and France and so on have decided that they're going to take on the challenge of the cross, and in so doing, by trying to free Jerusalem from the infidel, they will be given free and clear passage to heaven. Whether they die there on the journey or whether they die 30 years from there, they've got a free pass to heaven. So Sir Stephen decides that this is something he needs to do, and therefore medieval Arthur is going to go along. So it takes some while before this can actually transpire, between the time that the decision is made and the time that they actually get on the boat to cross the English Channel. That's what we're seeing in the second book. And medieval Arthur, continues to be able to watch the lives of King Arthur. And I remember I've did a whole unit in university on King Arthur, the different ways the stories are told. So we are seeing a lot of the very traditional but very abbreviated versions of things like Sir Gawain or Sir Lancelot or Sir Pellinore and the Yelping Beast. So we're seeing a lot of the legends of the Knights of the Round Table. I enjoyed them the first time. You know, they were okay. But the adventures of the Knights of the Round Table, they are what they are, right? Like, I can't go back from my century and say to them, you guys are idiots. You're fighting each other. You've got yourself angry about this. You're stabbing each other. Everybody's dying. It's like, just... Anyways, medieval Arthur just thinks it's a blast, He just thinks, oh, wow, another jousting. Let's crash, bang. Yeah, I didn't really love the Knights of the Round Tables. And Guinevere drove me mental. I just, occasionally Arthur drove me a little mental too. I didn't want him to marry Guinevere. Even way back in university, I thought, don't marry Guinevere. I don't remember why, but don't marry Guinevere. And he does. So things don't go so well for Arthur. But I guess that will happen in book 3, which I hope to start. Probably I'll give it a bit of a break. Sometimes reading all 3 in a row, you need a little bit of break. And I do have a book that I need to read for my one book club, Ink Blood Sister Scribe, by Emily Torres, is coming up for about April 15th or so. And I borrowed this from the library and I haven't returned it. So I better get on to it. So for generations, the Kalatoy family have guarded a collection of ancient and rare books that let a person walk through walls or manipulate the elements. And magic comes with a price, though. And the sisters eventually have to reunite and preserve the family legacy. They'll uncover a world of magic far bigger and more dangerous than ever imagined. In the great tradition of Ninth House, I don't think I've read that, The Magicians and Practical Magic, I haven't read any of those books. So whatever that tradition is, I don't know. That's what we're going to read next. And it is not middle grade. I'm going to intersperse this book with see if I can. I want to finish the third book in that trilogy I was reading about The Thieves of the Shadow Fox, where the guy's eye had been, there's a magical eye where his eye used to be, by Kevin Sands. I'd like to finish that this month too. So that's it for me. That's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.